Hey guys, I'm Doug with 9to5 Tactical, and today we have the ZevTech OZ9 Elite Standard, which we've already done the first shots on, and today we'll be doing our full review breakdown. So before we get into the specs on the ZevTech OZ9 Elite Standard, to note this is actually the version 1. Now Zev has the V2 that's on their page. This actually got delisted, and to find the specs and details, I actually had to use a Wayback Machine and use some ChatGPT just to find some information. Getting into the specs, it is a striker fire pistol, chambered in 9mm, barrel length of about 4.5 inches, a height of 5.7 inches, and a width of 1.3 inches. Weighs about 27 ounces. The trigger is a flat face trigger with an integrated safety and has a pull weight of about 4.5 pounds. The slide is made up of stainless steel with a black DLC finish and an RMR optic cut. Sights featured are Zev combat sights with a red fiber optic front and blacked out rears. Grip is made of polymer and is interchangeable. So starting with that, we have the box. It comes in a nice red box, which is pretty high quality plastic. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but from feeling it, you can tell it's not cheap plastic. Also, it has slots for where you can put 2 locks, so if you're transporting this and flying with your gun, you can keep it away from the TSA. So starting with the unboxing now, what you'll get is the gun itself, 2 15-round PMags, and you'll get the instructions and replacement parts. So the contents of this envelope of all this stuff I dumped out is you'll get 2 striker springs, which you can swap between, and they are 2 pounds and 3 pounds. You also get your optic cover, which also includes in this little baggie extra fiber optic replacements, instruction manual, and a certification from Zev and thanking you for making your purchase. And you'll get a neat little sticker from ZevTech to show everybody you got one of their cool guns.
Alright, for the first category, we will start with out of the box value. This category is based on everything that comes inside the box, not including the firearm itself. That includes magazines, spare parts, and even the box that it comes with. For my score, I gave it a 9 out of 10. The reason being is because the hardcover it comes with is actually very good. Actually quite amazing with how bold they are with the bright red packaging. Very organized, and actually has cutouts for everything you need in here, including having all the extra tools and whatnot up here in this envelope stuck at the lid. Even with the Velcro backing, make sure it stays out of the way for you. Alright, something to note is that this only comes with 2 magazines. I always say in other reviews I always want at least 3, but I did knock a point off for it because the mags on here are so cheap. The PMags only $15. You can also buy larger capacity ones for around the same price. So I did not knock a point off on this review for that reason. But I did knock a point off because it doesn't have any type of grip adjustability. What I mean by that is there isn't any kind of interchangeable grip straps or even a back strap you can swap out. On our channel, we have 3 people that have very different sized hands. Unfortunately for myself, I'm the one with the smaller hands, and just like a Glock, this one doesn't fit me that well. I just can't grab my small hands around it to get proper leverage, unfortunately. So I did knock a point off for no adjustability on the grip whatsoever.
For the box value, I did give this a 9 out of 10. I do love the case that it comes in. It comes with really hard foam and all the extra stuff that you get with it. You get extra springs with it, and if your fiber optic on the front ever falls out, you do have replacements for green or red. So that's really cool, and extra screws. Downside of this, it does only come with 2 magazines. I wish it had 3, and that's why I gave it a 9 out of 10.
For box value, I gave this category a 10 out of 10. This comes with 2 striker springs, which are at 2 pounds and 3 pounds. So I don't normally see this from other manufacturers, so this is kind of nice from Zev to send it with it. Additionally, it comes with replacement fiber optic sights. I've lost a few in the past, so it's kind of nice to have them. Concluding my opinion on this, I think people often disregard what comes in the box. I think it's really important to consider, especially when you're spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on a gun, what you get in the box or what the box is made out of. Because if I was spending like $3,000 on a gun and it came in a piece of cardboard box or just a plastic bag, I'd be kind of a little upset. But this, I think you're getting exceptional value right out of the box.
Next is going to be ergonomics. For ergonomics, we're going to be talking about first impressions. So basically, if you're going to go to a gun store, when you first look at it and first pick it up, what's it going to feel like when it's in your hands? For this category, I gave this a 10 out of 10. I love the first impressions of this gun when I got to take it out to the range. The finger grooves, they fit well. I do have medium-sized hands, so they matched perfectly with mine. And then I do love the palm swabs here. I feel like my support hand was able to get a good grip when shooting rapid strings of fire, and it did not slip. And yeah, this gun, it fits really well in my hands. Onto the other side, for the mag release and the slide release, I can reach it perfectly. I know some people on the team aren't able to reach it, but I felt like under pressure I can utilize both controls pretty well. That's why I gave it a 10 out of 10.
So ergonomics, I gave this category a 9 out of 10. So starting at the top, I have these side serrations here. They are aggressive enough to catch onto my fingers quite well. Same thing with the rear ones here. They grip quite well. Obviously the red dot's in the way, so it just probably gives some weird placebo effect that you're not getting that good of a grip, but they feel the exact same as the front. Moving down to the side here on the side controls, you have the slide release. If you can see here, the lower frame actually protrudes outside of the slide. So there's like a small ridge where you can hit the slide release a lot easier than other guns. So I had no issues hitting the slide release. Also the mag release here, it's really nice. I don't have to break grip. My thumb sits right on top of it. It has a pretty cool texture here, which I don't think it really helps me with reloads in terms of like getting extra grip for my thumb, but I do think it is a nice point of reference. Also, it is super easy to press as it is also extra protruded out of the grip. Speaking of the grip texture, I do wish it was a little bit more aggressive. Something like an M&P Shield Plus or a Staccato XC I've shot in the past. It also has a nice palm swell here, which I do have a higher grip, so it's kind of nice to have it up there. And the grip placement, of course, it goes all the way to the top or almost to the top, so it is nice for someone like me who has a higher grip. But if you have a more traditional thumbs forward grip, it also has texturing here, which you can also press your thumb there, get a little bit of extra meat to grab onto the gun. Also, lastly, at the bottom, it has a pretty modest mag well, so it's pretty nice. So if I have to reload, it does make reloading a lot easier. Now, the grip angle is of that of a standard 1911 or 2011. I am a 2011 shooter, so that's just a really good plus for me as I'm already used to it. And that is basically why I gave it a 9 out of 10. Just lost 1 point on the grip texture.
For ergonomics, I gave it a 9 out of 10. So starting at the top here with the serrations, the front serrations and rear serrations are very, very good. I have no issues whatsoever actually actuating the front or the rear when it comes to actuating the slide. I think they really knocked it out of the park with these slide serrations. They're very strong, very grippy, and they cut just enough, I feel. Not too deep and not shallow. Moving down to the mag release and side release, of course I have small hands. I unfortunately cannot reach it without breaking my grip. It isn't anything that I knocked off for that though, because that's most guns. But for the mag releases specifically, it does have some really nice texture here for a reference point when you're looking for that mag to drop. The side release itself protrudes out very far when it is locked back, and it's very easy to hit that side release, no problem. Doesn't require much effort compared to other firearms we've reviewed in the past, aka the Shield Plus was very difficult to do that with. This was basically effortless. The grip texture is very nice. I do normally like a little more aggressive texture, but I do believe that the palm swells that are in here do make up for the lack of more aggressive texture in my eyes. It does go up pretty far as well, so I am a fan of it, and the palm swells really help your support hand find a good home here when marrying your hands for the presentation. Additionally, the flared magwell is very nice. I do believe they did a good job designing it since it is so sleek. It is made out of metal as well, and so it is just large enough to help with insertion of magazines, as well as providing more leverage on the recoil with your bottom of your pinky. It actually hugs the very bottom here. They even add a little like a rounded slot there with that intention. So I do love it. I think that it does help a lot with providing leverage for recoil. The only con that I have for the ergos is actually just how wide the grip is. You're going to hear a lot throughout the review that this is very similar to a Glock. That's just because the foundation of this firearm derived around the Glock. It's basically the same dimensions as a Glock and everything. It takes Glock parts, and that would include having such a wide grip. It just does not fit my hands that well. I feel when I have the gun in my hands, I just cannot get proper leverage to bite down. I just find my hands slipping, even just trying to present, I could feel my hand slipping just a little bit. So I did give it a 9 out of 10 for that reason.
So moving into this category, we have the trigger. Now the trigger, I believe, is fundamentally one of the most important parts of a firearm. If you get a gun and the trigger kind of sucks right out of the box, it kind of sucks because you might have to replace that, and obviously a lot of people don't want to replace their triggers for safety reasons. So for the ZEV, the trigger, I gave it a 10 out of 10. Now out of the box, this trigger is pretty good. I'm actually quite familiar with how this style of trigger feels. So I've shot a Hellcat Pro in the past, and I also shot a Shield Plus in the past, and both kind of have this like roll through break. What I mean by that is that when you get to the wall, it's not super defined, and when you get there, it just kind of rolls through, like it just kind of trudges through and breaks. Trigger reset is also really short. It's about close to the 90-degree break there, and press off your shot. So that allows you to be really consistent and fast with your follow-up shots. With all that being said, that is why I gave it a 10 out of 10.
So for trigger, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I believe this is one of the best triggers you can get. It breaks right at the 90-degree mark, resets right at 90 degrees. It's a very smooth pull. It has about 4.5 pounds for that average trigger pull weight, but it honestly feels more like 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds because it's so smooth. So I was able to run sub 2 bilges with this firearm quite easily because that trigger is very smooth and easy to manipulate as fast as I wanted. The only few cons I found was the fact that there is a bladed safety on there. Now I know I'm already used to some other firearms having bladed safety triggers, but for this one it is a little bit on the lower side to deactivate it. On a few occasions I would be mid bilge drill and the firearm would actually, or the trigger that would stop me from finishing the drill, because I would just have my finger, just based on how my finger placement is, I do have it more in the middle there, but even like on occasion that safety would just get stuck and I couldn't get it to deactivate without taking my finger off the trigger and putting it back on. Now, is that more of a training issue because maybe my finger placement can be fixed a little more, be a little bit lower? Yes, maybe, but for me personally, I kept putting my finger where I thought was the best spot and it would stop me. So that's con I gave it. The final issue being that I do not like how it does not have any clean walls or definitive walls for that matter for the break. What I mean by that is that the more you pull the trigger back, it just kind of builds tension and then just breaks. There's not actually a wall for you to stop at. Now that's more of a preference thing, I'd say, but still something to note. That might be because it's more compared to that of a Glock trigger. This is still better than any Glock that I've ever shot before, but just something to note that I personally do not like that, and I think other people would agree, so I gave it a 9 out of 10.
For this category, I gave this a 9 out of 10. This trigger here is a bladed safety trigger. When taking it on the range, I thought I wouldn't have liked it. The more I shot it, the more I did like it. It does have a fairly light trigger pull and a noticeable wall here, and then break. And then it also has a fairly short reset, which I do like. For the bladed safety triggers, there is a spot on here that when you are pressing it, it doesn't actuate the trigger to go down. And I feel like shooting under pressure, you kind of would miss that and it'd cost your life. So that's why I gave this a 9 out of 10 for not being able to have the whole trigger be able to be actual to pull back. So that's one downside. And that's why I gave this a 9 out of 10.
Next category we're going to talk about is sights and optics. So that's going to include the front and rear iron sight, and if any options come available for the optic ready versions for red dots. For sights and optics, I gave it a 9 out of 10. So starting with the iron sights, I do love the combo of the bright fiber optic with the blacked out rears. I think the fiber optic being so bright really helps iron only shooters stay front sight focused and find that bright fiber optic very easily. So that's going to get full merits. Now the red dot option I think is amazing because they went with the RMR cuts, one of the most popular cuts that you can possibly put on a compact or full-size firearm. Nothing to note here is that this is actually the 507C version 1. So as a lot of people know out there, this is actually a bottom mounted red dot. They now have a version 2 that's side mounted, but I bought this a long time ago. So when changing this battery out, ZTech actually has these posts that are going right into the screw holes to give it extra rigidity. I think that was amazing just because it makes it so strong and makes the red dot optic sound there very tight when direct mounting it. I know for myself that last time I changed this battery, I took it off, changed the battery, put it back on, and went back out to the range and actually kept 0, which is pretty insane. And I zeroed out to 25 yards. So with these posts being there is a very tight fit. You can really tell ZevTech went above and beyond when designing this to make sure they have maximum durability and longevity for your mounting option. The only con I found for this optic system is the fact that ZevTech does not actually make any plates for if you did not want to go with the R-Mark cut. You do have to outsource plates if you wanted to put anything else on there, unfortunately. So I did knock a point off for that. So it is getting a 9 out of 10 for me.
For sights and optics, I gave this a 10 out of 10. I do love the fiber optic front sight and the black rear sights here. They're super duper easy to pick up during the daylight. Another thing is that it comes optic ready for this version. We did throw on a Holosun 507C on here. It does direct mount to here, and that's why I gave this a 10 out of 10. Love this system.
For the sights, I gave this category a 9 out of 10. Starting with the iron sights that come with the gun, they do have blacked out rears and a fiber optic front, so it really does allow you to focus on the front sight really easy. So we're under rapid fire, it's super easy to track. Moving on to the optic here, the optic does use an RMR cut and only the RMR cut for direct mounting. If you want to put something else on, you would have to get an aftermarket adapter plate to do so. That's where I docked 1 point. Other than that, everything else is pretty good.
So next we're going to be talking about magazines. For this category, we're going to be talking about the magazine capacity, also their compatibility. For this category, I did give this an 8 out of 10. The reason being is that it does come with two 15-round magazines in this bundle, and I also took off a point for the plastic mags. They do feel like little airsoft magazines to me. I do prefer the metal ones. I feel like they're more durable. And I also took off a point because in similarity to the SIG 17-round magazine, it is the same size as the 15-round magazine here. So that's why I also took up another point. So that's why I gave it 8 out of 10.
For magazines, I gave this category a 9 out of 10. Why did I give it a 9 out of 10? Well, starting off is the magazines that come with it are made of like a really cheap plastic, but also to support that 9 out of 10 is that these P mags that come with it, which are 15 rounders. 15 rounders because this is the V1, but I believe the V2 does come with 17 rounds. Now these are, back to my main point, these are $15. It's super cheap. Like you can toss these out, anything breaks, happens, doesn't matter, you replace it. Usually magazines cost around $30 to $70 on the high end. So these being at $15 is really cheap. Also, where it does lose that extra point factoring into that is that the round indicators, there's none on the back, there's only one on the side just to tell you that you're full. When you're doing drills, we have to do like maybe a 3R3 or a 5R5, you kind of have to guess, or like let's say you do a press check, you can't really tell how many rounds are in your magazine. Now some people will say, well, you should count your rounds as you shoot. You can't really do that. I don't think anyone's memories are that good to remember how many rounds go out your gun, so something to think about. Zev also offers extended base plates. So if you wanted to, let's say, increase your magazine capacity by 3 rounds, they offer, starting at $30, polymer base plates, or you can get extra bougie ones that are $50 and get some metal base plates. But those are kind of pricey. You could probably go with the Glock 19X, which I think that fits similar mag size as a Glock 17, and that'll allow you to get 19 rounds for $35. But that's all I have to say about the magazines, and I give it a 9 out of 10, so still really good.
Alright, for magazines, I gave it a 9 out of 10. So the main reason being is that it does come with Magpul G19 mags. Since it is a full-size Glock 17 slide with a Glock 19 sized grip, it does have a 15+1 capacity. Now I've heard from other reviewers that they actually do have troubles with the P mags that comes with it. Us personally, we actually didn't have any malfunctions even after shooting 1,000+ rounds through it. We had 0 reliability issues whatsoever with these. That doesn't mean that they won't fail us eventually. The con I gave it was that it is made out of plastic. The only cons I gave it was that the mags that came with are made out of plastic. We have had better luck with metal mags for longevity, and I do understand there are aftermarket support options out there that allow for metal mags, but these are the mags that it came with, so these are the ones that I'm rating for. As well as with this size of grip, we have had other firearms come with 17+1 capacity, so I knocked off a point for that. So it's going to give it a 9 out of 10.
For this next category, we're going to be talking about felt recoil. Now, felt Felt recoil is a very important part of the gun. It may feel great in hand, triggers great, then you go shoot it and you're surprised by how it feels. Either it's really smooth to shoot or it's snappier than what you think it should be. Now for felt recoil, I gave this a 9 out of 10. This is a really soft shooting gun. It is compact size grip, full size length barrel, and I thought this thing shot soft versus how light it is. So this is a 27 ounce full size, which is pretty light for being a full size actually. I think most full sizes are around the 30 ounce, 28 to 30 ounce realm and above, especially if you're shooting 2011s, those are around like 40 ounces. Now this is obviously no 2011, so the felt recoil is not a 10 out of 10, but for what it is, super soft shooting, easy to manage, no problems for me.
For felt recoil, I gave it a 9 out of 10. As you can tell, there's gonna be a lot of 9 out of 10s on this review for this firearm. So the reason being is because I think it's a very soft shooter. I think it shoots softer than majority of Glocks that I've tried in the past. That's likely due to the longer full-size slide that it comes with. Now it is slightly snappy, and I think that's to do because of the compact size grip. Even with that magwell giving you a little more grip, I do feel a lot of that felt recoil going right into my hands. Now don't get me wrong, this is still softer than majority of guns I've tried that are similar size to this. I just know that there is some snap to it. I think having the compact size grip with the full size slide combo can only do so much when it comes to felt recoil, so I did give this a 9 out of 10.
For this category, I gave this a 10 out of 10. The felt recoil on this was amazing. It shot fairly flat in the videos that you can see here next. Also, that when we were shooting, the red dot stayed in the window and didn't leave it, which was nice when I was shooting it. For that, I gave this a 10 out of 10. Also, another point, it didn't beat your hand up like most guns do. After shooting long strings of fire, like all day at the range, my hands didn't feel like they were getting beat like to a pulp after shooting this, and it was really nice. That's why I gave this a 10 out of 10.
So next category is weapon handling and manipulation. So basically that's going to be the same as ergonomics, except using everything under practice. That would include the front and rear serrations, mag release, side release, magwell, and everything that has to do with the mechanics of the firearm itself while we were on the range. So for this category, I gave it an 8 out of 10. So starting up here with the front and rear serrations, as I said before, I thought they were very impressive. We did a couple off the tabletop drills with these serrations, manipulating them all the way, and I had no issue with them whatsoever. They're actually very impressive. Moving down to the slide release, unfortunately the placement of it is a little bit out of my way. Not too big a deal though, because I am used to breaking my grip, but just something to note for guys with smaller hands, you may still have issues with reaching it. The mag release will drop the mag effortlessly, no issue with it whatsoever. The texture on it is also a nice touch. The flare magwell, of course, is awesome as well. Helps with grip, helps with felt recoil, and also when reinserting magazines, makes it very simple, pretty hard to miss honestly. The 2-point loss comes from the cons of the texture placement. I do wish there was some texture right under here next to the trigger guard, as well as where the middle finger is. I found as I was shooting it that under these smooth plastics, my fingers would actually start to slide off and on of it, especially right here when you're trying to apply proper leverage. I found my index finger sliding back and forth on it while I was shooting. Also, since the grip is so wide, it does give me some issues when trying to find proper placement with my primary hand, which can in turn give me issues when trying to find proper placement on the trigger. And as we know with the blade safety trigger on here, it does require me to have my finger on there a very certain way, so that could cause some inconsistencies for when I'm shooting it.
For weapon handling and manipulation, I gave this a 10 out of 10. The reasons being is that everything is within the area of my primary hand. For my thumb, I'm able to hit the slide release and the mag release. As you can see here, when the slide is locked back, that there's a huge ledge that comes out for the slide release, and that's one of my favorite parts about this gun. And also, the mag release sticks out too, as you can see here. So those are 2 points that I really like about this. It does have a 1911 grip angle, so very similar to the staccato that I have and I carry daily. So that's another plus, so it felt really natural to me to have a good point of aim and presentation. Looking here at the top, so the front serrations and the rear serrations are very prominent. As you can see here that the serrations are actually gripped at an angle. So when you're gracking it from the front, you're able to see that your thumb does not slip off. So that's what I really do like about the serrations. They're deep enough, they're aggressive enough for me. I feel like when my hands are sweaty that I am not gonna lose my grip at all and able to rack around into the chamber. So that's why I gave this a 10 out of 10.
For weapon handling and manipulation, I gave this category a 10 out of 10. Starting at the top, no issues with the serrations. When we were doing the table competition style, I was able to rack the front and use the rear serrations quite easily. Side controls, slide release, no issues, as the lower frame sticks out a little bit wider than the slide, so it makes it easier to hit as it gives you a little bit more leverage to press it down. Moving further, we have the mag release, which is extremely exaggerated in terms of sticking out, so it makes it super easy to hit while under practice. There is some nice texturing here, which I feel like is a good point of reference. And here at the bottom, the mag well. It's a very modest mag well. It's not super exaggerated like a competition one, but it is enough to help with reloads or inserting that first mag like we did on our table competition setup. So with that, that's why I gave it a 10 out of 10. I had no issues from me.
So the next category is going to be comfort and concealability. This meaning that when you put the gun in the holster and you put it in your pants, is it going to fit your normal clothes without printing? So that's what we're going to be talking about next. Also want to give a quick shout out to QVO. Thank you so much, Roger, for sending us this wingman holster for the Zev. Worked like a dream, took it out to the range, didn't have any issues with it, so thank you so much. And also for the belt, thank you so much, Core Essentials, for letting us use your belt and doing a review over it. Appreciate you guys. For both the holster and the belt, the descriptions down below for our discount codes, they were both generous enough to give us codes to send to you guys, so go check that out. For this category, I gave this a 9 out of 10. It is a good size firearm. It is not a subcompact, so it might print for small people, but for medium people like me, it might not. We did run this appendix carry at the range. It didn't pinch or pull anything, which is great. Just one con, the flared magwell is a bit big, so it could print a little more, especially when you're walking and the wind's coming towards you. It could print where the magwell is, so that's why I gave it a 9 out of 10.
So for this category of comfort concealability, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Now, why not a 10 out of 10? Well, it is still full size. It has the barrel length of a full size, so it does mean just a little bit more plastic or kydex in your pants, as well as the weight. It's not going to be as light as your subcompact or compact size guns, which weigh about half a pound lighter, which is something you will feel if you're at a class for 8 hours or more, or you have to carry your gun more than 10 or 12 hours in a single day. Let's say you're out running around or on vacation. It does take a toll on your lower back. But for a full size, I'd say, because this is really light, 27 ounces, it's probably one of my more comfortable full size carry guns.
So for comfort and concealability, I gave it a 9 out of 10. So of course, with the compact size grip and the full size slide, there are going to be some complications with carrying this. So starting with the compact size grip, when it actually does not print as much because of the shorter grip. The flared magwell is so sleek, it doesn't really stick out very far at all. So me personally, I didn't have any issues with concealing this whatsoever. Now the full size slide does give you some uncomfortability when carrying it, just because of how long it is and how far it goes down your pants. We did combo this with the Core Essentials EDC belt and the QVO Tactical Wingman, and that made it an awesome combo. Concealability was nice, but there was some issues with comfortability with how long the slide is. So I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Moving to our next category, we have aftermarket support. Now, obviously, all of us get our guns, we want to personalize it, or you want to make it better than what is stock, and hopefully, if you have reliability issues, make it more reliable. So aftermarket support is something to take into consideration when you get your gun. Now for the ZevTech, I did give this a 10 out of 10. It is based around the Glock Gen 3 models, so the aftermarket for Glock Gen 3s are probably one of the biggest out there, so the availability is already there, the support is massive. So most parts from the Glock Gen 3s will swap onto the ZevTech. Aside from the internals, because ZevTech has their own kind of similar SIG style FCU where the serial number is on the fire control unit. So what does that mean? You can swap your grip module. A lot of guns don't do that, so other than SIG mostly. the modularity to swap your grip module to like some aftermarket cut like the Icarus grip, which they provide or are making aluminum grips. So all the interchangeability, all the already existing support, I'm giving this category a 10 out of 10. Or I already said that, but that's why I gave it 10 out of 10.
Aftermarket support, I gave this a 10 out of 10. With a system like the 6-hour SCU or the Springfield Armory COG system, the serial number is actually done on the fire control unit that's in here. So that means you can swap out almost anything like the grip, the slide, just about everything. The rail here does have multiple cuts as well in case you want to run multiple different sized lights. So this really does give you the max amount of aftermarket support that you can want in a firearm. Along with accepting almost all Glock Gen 3 parts, I believe this is a truly modular system, so I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
For this aftermarket category, I give this a 10 out of 10. This is basically a Glock clone, but Gucci'd. You can change anything you want. You can change the outside, the inside, freaking internals if you wanted to. So you could honestly look for porting jobs, Cerakote jobs, any stippling, trigger, mag release, get another flared mag well if you wanted to, the sights, you can get another optic cut if you wanted to. This ZevTech has a lot of third-party options that you can put on. They are Gen 3 compatibility with Glock. That's why I gave this a 10 out of 10. You could literally do anything you want with this gun.
And for the last category of this video, it's going to be about price. Did we find that this gun was worth the price tag? And now for the price, I give it a 10 out of 10. Now I know $1,600 is a lot of money, but hear me out. We all did our own research when it comes to the price of this, and we found that when we tried to build a stock Glock to match similar items to this, to make the ZevTech OZ9, we were always spending more money. When it comes to performance and modularity with this firearm, it's pretty easy to tell where all the money goes. Now I know $1,600 is a hard pill to swallow, and for that money you can actually probably buy multiple other firearms. But I do believe that once you get your hands on a ZevTech and try shooting it, you likely won't want to go back to purchasing a normal Glock anymore. And for that reason, I gave this a 10 out of 10 for price.
For pricing, I gave this a 10 out of 10. For $1,600, you get a lot in this package, especially for the performance that it has. Taking it out on the range, I looked at it, I was like, ooh, that's a sexy gun. And I shot it, and I was like, ooh, damn, that shoots so sexy, right? But for $1,600, it might push a couple people away, but honestly, it is worth it than building it from scratch. As in, you have an original Glock, you put in all the bells and whistles to make this, you will save yourself some money just buying this up front. To be honest, I'm happy we have this on the channel, and that's why I gave this a 10 out of 10.
For the price, what I gave it a 10 out of 10. Now, it is kind of steep. It is what we purchased for $1,600 at the time, so prices may vary. They don't actually make the standard Elite anymore. Now they have the V2. Just a little disclaimer for the price. $1,600, like I said, steep, but I feel like you are getting what you're paying for. You get high quality parts, really good tolerances, really good reliability. I don't think we had any reliability issues on the range. We put about 1,000 rounds through it. It is DLC coat finish, which is something you only see in like higher quality guns. Also the modularity over like standard striker fires or Glock Gen 3, which is based off of. I feel like all those added up does justify the price of $1,600. All in all, I give this category a 10 out of 10, and if I had the extra money, I'd definitely pick up a ZevTech for myself. Overall, my final thoughts are, this is a really good gun. I think it really separates itself from being just considered a Gucci Glock. The parts, the modularity, and the tolerance, it really is high quality. I definitely would recommend to go out and try one of these for yourself. So with that concluding our review, with all our scores combined, I gave it a 95, Zach gave it a 95, and Brandon gave it a really low score of 91. So with that, the average came to a 93.66. So probably our highest reviewed gun yet. We had a lot of positive things to say about this gun. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Please leave a like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification if you enjoyed our content. Just some food for thought. No matter what gun you get, it could be the ZevTech or just a cheap Glock you get from a department store. Just make sure you get out there and get good with whatever you got. With that, we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.